Yeah, now we can hear you, Professor.
Oh, which is great because I wasn't even saying anything then. Wow, you can really.
I heard your keyboard, so I figured that your audio was on.
That is so spooky, actually. All right, thank you. No, sorry about that. Right, and it really is actually funny that no wonder everybody's so scared of Zoom and doesn't want to show their video. Like the fact that you can hear me before I'm even saying, like, yeah, okay, hello, okay, well, thank you. Excuse me. Again, we're still totally doing that whole points thing. I'm going to be submitting more. You're going to be during this class as we're working. You'll be getting more of your points back. You'll see again that they really do count. And we really are doing that thing where, just to remind you again that like if you say anything at all, you can submit it for 50 points. And then if you say, and I think we've done this before, right? I know we have in this class. And hopefully again, you'll see that you're getting the points back. You'll see, I just put, you jot down one quick note of like, I said this in class. And you'll get one quick note back from me, like, yes, I remember, or something. It won't be that big of a deal, but then you'll see the 50 points that you got back from me registered for that. And we're going to keep going with that. And we're trying to answer questions such as the one that's right here on the page. But you're going to see, I'm going to start at, I'm going to put more in the portal, more gamified, complexified things. That is, we're going to start doing a thing today too, where, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, where if you share an image, I'm going to say this, you'll see, actually, well, I'll get into this more. You'll see in your Google Stream while we're working on this, that if any of you, if we're working on, say, this problem, and hopefully you can all see, like the problem we're going to work on is this one in blue and red here on the screen. It finally occurred to me. I don't know why I was using the black screen all the time, but hopefully the white screen is easier to see. We're going to work on this, and it's going to be the usual thing where you get points for any insight, any question, anything you put in the public chat or public voice. But I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to start giving extra points for if anybody has the guts or that takes the risk to share an image. Like if you write out something, a diagram or something on a piece of paper, or you think you have a solution to, say, this problem or some other problem, you think you have a way of doing it that's right. And then you take a picture, and scan it in. And then if you are willing to share such a thing in the chat to me, like you can just share it as an attachment, and you can even tell your friends, don't look at that yet or whatever if you want. But if you share one with me and thereby sort of give me the right to screen share it, which I might or might not do, then that's 75 points. Like, and again, if you share something in the chat, maybe it won't be right. So maybe I'll look at it and say, oh, thank you very much. That's awesome that you had the guts, and here's 75 points for that, 75 of these kinds of points. But maybe it might be wrong. So maybe I won't then like screen share with everybody. Maybe I won't talk about it for a long time or something. I mean, I won't talk about one for a long time to embarrass anybody. I would only talk about one if it was useful and good. But so if you have the guts to try that and put an image in the chat while we're talking, you'll see there's going to be an assignment portal for sort of 75 points for that. I'm also going to say similarly, and this is all just an attempt to reward anybody and everybody who can find any kind of way to stay focused and engaged in this class. Again, recognizing that it's so hard and annoying to do this by Zoom, right? So I'm just trying to, it's not ever to make anybody feel punished for not wanting to do that stuff. And we'll still have exams where you'll be able to get an A and get an A in the class regardless of all this, if you want to do it like that, and we'll talk about it. But in the meantime, more points for saying things, for putting an image in the chat. You're also going to see today in the assignment portal that if you, I'm going to start giving extra points also for voice rather than chat. Like, just like some people like to draw and they don't like to talk. So there's 75 points if they put an image of some kind in the chat. But also it is really helpful not to hear my voice all the time. I think it's helpful to everybody for it not to be a one Dan show. So it's great to put stuff in the chat, and that's 50 points no matter what. But if you actually say something, and that includes like a dumb joke, whatever, just to lighten the mood, just the more humanity and the more personality complexity we have in this Zoom room, like the better. So anytime you're about to write something in the chat, if you feel like saying it vocally instead, I'm actually going to give, you can then triple dip that, if you know what I mean, into the different assignment portals. And other things like that are coming. I'm just gonna more and more, like the different ways to participate and stuff, I just want to give points to that will add to your grade, because I just think the more ways we all, but the task of the moment because I'm assuming I've been talking to Walters, and by the way, that's another thing you should just know. I'm going to be with Walters for hours tonight after this class is over. If there's things that you guys want us to bring, I mean, if you know that, we're going to talk and trade notes, and we both think the class, you guys are doing well and the class is going well and all that. But like, if there's things that you need us both to know or discuss, you can let me know in the chat or something today. But we will discuss, there will have to be a midterm exam and stuff like that, and it hasn't happened yet, but it's going to happen. And we'll definitely have a practice exam and all of that. But my point is, I think I know what you're doing in lab, and I think hopefully what's on the screen right now relates to what we did last week and what you did in the lab. But I am asking you to do anything and everything to try to solve this problem. I think you have all the tools somewhere in your notes to solve it, the most recent motion. It might just strike you as a plug and chug once you get how to do it, or it might take a couple of steps. I'm not sure, but that's the problem on the. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. So I'm looking at the chat. Oh wait, sorry. Oh, yeah. The answer is totally. Yeah. So hold on. So all right. So people are So I'm going to start responding in the chat. And again, let me also tell you guys, because there's this whole. I'm constantly having all dilemmas in my mind about private versus public chat and all this, and they're both really useful in different ways and blah blah. But I'll tell you this: any of you, say you put something in. The rule right now is that I'm giving lots and lots of points for anything that goes public. Anything that goes private, I'm still totally trying to address. I totally respect anything you ask private, physics question or otherwise. I'm totally trying to address in the private chat. It's just that sometimes that's slower to all of you. So I'm not giving points for those questions in the private chat. I'm just answering them. Not to be crude, but I just want to make that clear. But I also want to make it clear to all of you, say you ask a physics question in the private chat because like you're nervous and you are, for whatever reason, you think it might look like a stupid question. You don't want to be, for whatever reason, you don't want other people to see it, right? So you put it in the private chat, but it's like a physics question, or it's like about this, or it's about some exam thing. And then say I answer it and we have like a good constructive dialogue for 2 minutes, right? And I answer the question. You might be totally satisfied then, and then everybody's fine. And you might even be thinking, good, I got my question answered. I didn't need the freaking points. Like, I don't care about these points, or I'll get my points some other way. Good, I'm done. But if it was a fine conversation that we just had in the private chat, and if it was about physics, like not if it was about making an appointment or something, but if it's about physics, I want to encourage you all, once the conversation's over, even if you're satisfied with the answer, feel free to then copy and paste that thing right into the public chat so everybody can see it. Like, even if it's already happened and you're not expecting them to get involved. But if you just then take that thing and put it in the public chat, you'll then get the points for it, even though it's already resolved in your mind. Like, I want to make that clear to everybody. Like, so sometimes you may want to try something because you're afraid I'm going to call it a stupid question or something. But once you see that it's not a stupid question and no one got hurt, then freaking copy and paste it and put it in the public chat for everybody to see, because then you'll get extra points for it, seriously. And the reason for that is that everybody benefits by seeing what everybody else is doing and struggling with, and it just makes everybody more alive. So, oh, right. Ha! 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 Okay, well, it just happened. I didn't mean, and everything I just said, I was not trying to shame anybody privately. And I was going to answer her thing first, but okay, there you go. Right. But even if that was like, so that's a very fair question that Andreas, whose name I'm saying wrong. Wait, Andreas. Am I saying it right? Now I'm putting it. Well, anyway, that's a perfectly fair question. Oh, sorry. Is that what?
I said yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, great. Okay, totally fair question. In fact, I'm almost surprised we didn't give you one yet already. Because that sheet of those formulas, we keep calling them the motions, like the main equations of this class, we sort of call the motions, and we actually do have a motion sheet. I absolutely will, in a few moments, I'll try to put the equation sheet in the stream. If I don't remember in a few moments, we definitely will give you one, and certainly before the exam. But yeah, that would help be organized. I will put that in. And yeah, that's a good example of something he should get total points for asking that. And even if I had just given it to him or done it, he could still just repeat that in the public and get, all right, I think everybody gets the point. Cool. So I'm going to look for that sheet right now. I'm going to also try to catch up your assignment stream, like get you your points back and make it clear why there's extra points for what I'm saying. While you guys work on this thing that's right here in white, I think I mean, you might have to think, you might have to, but I think if you look back in your notes somewhere or another, you have, and I'll start giving hints if there's like dead silence for minutes and minutes and minutes. But by the way, say there's dead silence for like 8 minutes, right? It could be for any reason. It could be because people are thinking really hard and in an undistracted, focused way, which is great. Or it could be because everybody's gone out to lunch, right? Like I could never know. So if you're all like thinking hard for 8 minutes and one of you is like, no, this is like going nowhere, I'm just at a wall, you're allowed to put in the chat like, okay, I'm really thinking, but I'm really stuck. Like you can admit, but any feedback always is good. Anyway, I'm going to assume until that, oh, the exam. Sorry. Wait, totally fair question also. Tiffany's question about the exam, completely fair, especially because I'm starting to mention it now. We actually have not said, one reason we have not said, you didn't miss anything. It's totally fair question. I could probably, by the end of this class, I can either give you an estimate or we can nail down the date. We might figure it out by the end of this class, but I'm meeting with Walters for a long time tonight. So we might have unconsciously thought we would figure that out tonight. But if you guys want it to be resolved earlier, I might be able to tell you by the end of this class, but we haven't said yet. Roughly speaking, yeah, it's in 2 weeks. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, I could tell you this. We don't give you a surprise exam. If we announce an exam, then we give you at least a week's worth of time to go do a practice exam and blah, blah, blah. So it can't be tomorrow or something. But yeah, it's got to be soon. So, well, to be honest, my bet. Okay, so I'm saying right now, informally, if there is school 2 weeks from today, wait, 2 weeks from today is November. 2 weeks from today, hold on. That's a very fair question. It actually might focus us all better. 2 weeks from today is November 11th. That is not yet the wait. Oh, okay. I'll explain the question on the screen in a second. I'm about to say, let me put this in the public. I will say this because that's fair. I just put realistically, I would think if there was no vote or no discussion or anything, it would be Wednesday, November 11th. Although one thing, someone can maybe check while we're doing this. I'm assuming we do have school that day. I'm assuming it's not Thanksgiving or something like that. It is Armistice Day, but so for the moment, I would say if you're trying to plan, it's probably reasonable to assume that the exam would be that day, which would mean by next week we give you a practice. I think this is almost definitely true. In fact, unless everybody tells me it's a horrible date, that would mean that by next week you'd have a practice exam from us, like a practice exam that is very much like the real exam that you will do at home for yourself, and you will get solutions to it, although not right away, but before the actual exam. So yeah, actually that's pretty much the answer. I'll confirm this with Walters tonight, but since realistically that's the time we need to do that, you get a practice exam by next Wednesday, then the actual exam, which will be very similar and which you will have already seen solutions to and stuff, will be the Wednesday, the 11th. And I'll get back to you about formatting and stuff like that. But whatever it is, the format will look exactly like the format does in the practice exam. And you'll get an equation sheet for sure, possibly today. But yeah, so that's the quick answer to that. Now, as far as the question on the, and when that's fully confirmed, I'll put that more officially in the stream and stuff. But the way exams, but I can tell you that the way exams always work with me and Walters is that you always get a practice exam at least a week before, and you get solutions to that. So there's an opportunity for everybody to practice and make sure they understand the solutions. Wait. Yeah, like, okay, as long as we're talking about this, yeah, like on Ekaterina's, and I still want to answer the other Kilolo's question about what's up for today. Sorry about the cartoons. It was I guess the cartoons are distracting. But Ekaterina's question, yes, the truth is, and I don't want to go too far down this road right now because this can get distracting, but 99%, I mean, again, just based on anything that Walters and I have done in the past, and we will confirm all this tonight to make sure there's not anything I'm missing or some new situation. But Yes, 99% chance. When we say we give an exam in physics, what we mean, and I'm saying this to all of you, and it might not have been true in 101. I mean, if you had Lou for 101, she does it a little bit different, or anywhere else, it's a little different. But in this class, when we say exam or midterm exam or final exam, we actually 99% of the time mean it's a take-home exam, which means correct, which means what Ekaterina is saying. Like, we would post the exam at a certain time 2 Wednesdays from now, let's say. We would post the exam at a certain time and that you would know in advance, and you would go and download that exam, and then you would have like 48 hours or something like that of time to work on it in whatever way, in your own pace, under whatever conditions. You would work it out, and then you would submit the full solutions, fully labeled, carefully put together, of course, very carefully put together, fully labeled, of course, because you would just be doing all this on blank pieces of paper, like blue books. You would like fill out all your solutions to all these problems on blank pieces of paper as though they're blue books, and then scan those papers in or photograph them, turn all that into a PDF. So you'll have one big PDF of all of your solutions to our exam, and you'll submit it like to a Google, to a Google assignment, a Google Classroom assignment portal, as though it was just homework. That's a really important question. And again, I don't want to spend too much time on it today, but it's totally true and totally important to know, right? When we say exam, it's ultimately a big old huge assignment that you do at home that you submit just like any other homework, only it counts a lot differently, of course, and it's graded in a much more scrutinizing, serious way. So you're not just graded on effort, you're graded on correctness, of course. And there's a last thing on this, but all of that does mean to all of you what it sounds like it means, which is in those 48 hours that you have, or whatever, that you have the exam at home and you're trying to solve and you're getting ready to submit your solutions. In all that time, like, according to us, we're not Zooming, we're not monitoring you. What are we expecting you to consult or use or not use during that time? Everything. It's open, everything. During that time, we assume you're looking at your notes. We assume you're looking at the practice exam that you just worked so hard to solve that has solutions. We assume that you have free access, full access to the web, as you always do, and could find anything out on the web, including going to Khan Academy or blah, blah. We assume that you can talk with one another during that time. In fact, we encourage it. I mean, and I'm being serious about this. This might be a surprise to some of you. This actually usually is a big surprise to anybody who doesn't already know it about us. When we say exam, we mean open everything exam that you take home, and then each of you fully writes out all full solution set to each problem and signs your name to it, meaning that you understand everything that you wrote down. And of course, you show all work. And you're allowed to use whatever sources you want to get to that point, especially each other, one another. You could all come up with the exact same answers to every single question together as a group, but then each of you individually writes down everything, not just the answer, of course, writes down all the steps and the diagrams and everything to show why the answer is the answer. In other words, everybody justifies their work. And I don't know if it's clear. And that is intended to remove a lot of artificial stress and a lot of stuff, of nonsense about like I don't even know, like Zoom enforced, like cheating, no cheat, like none of that stuff is part of our exam. It's totally open everything and assumed to be open everything. What we're saying is anything that you generally consider to be cheating is allowed on our exam, and therefore is not cheating. And it really isn't cheating then, because everybody's allowed to do it. So the point is, no one gets some secret special advantage by going on the web and breaking the rules when everybody else was like honoring those rules and not going on the web. Like, that's what we don't have. We're full open, equal playing field, to the point where you can all help each other get it. And remember, if everything goes well on the exam or the midterm and the final, if everything goes well, everybody gets an A. Like, it's important to realize that our system is designed so that everybody could get an A. It's not a problem. We want that. Only, I will also say, the system works. The reason it works and it's acceptable by people that we do the system is that somehow or other, there's always enough people that don't get an A and that do actually somehow, and we can get into that more as the exam gets closer, but there's always enough people that don't actually follow these instructions or don't accept the situation and somehow find a way to actually still mess up enough to get an F, and then that saves it for everybody else. And physics is hard enough that we think all of this, it makes sense to do it this way. But but that's the answer. You'll have a fully take-home exam that we hope you help each other with. And so at the end of the day, by the way, just to be clear to everybody, like when we get the exams from everyone and we grade them, we're not grading them. We're not looking to catch you in having learned information from like a Google site or something. Like the thing is, you're trying to learn physics, learn in any way you can. But at the end of the day, what you write into the exam, your solutions, you're showing that you know physics. And it's very, very clear from the way people write things down, whether they understand what they're writing or not. Very clear. Like so this is like a take-home history paper or something like that, where like you can read all the books you want, blah, blah, blah. But if you can't put together a sentence, at the end, whatever you write, I mean, if you're not fluent enough in the language of English, it's going to come across that you don't know what you're talking about at all. And that's what happens in physics. Like the people that know what they're talking about come across in their physics work, and people that are just trying to grab and piece together pieces that were like copied or something from other places will never yell at you for where you copied from. But it's just totally clear when people copy and don't have a context and don't understand how the pieces go together. So we've got stories about Chegg and stuff like that to share if you want to be like stories about misuse of Chegg and other stories about the whole class all getting together to do an exam and just not inviting one person. Like all kinds of crazy things have happened. But what happens in the end is that the people that really understand the material make it clear in their own personal document. Like they write a lot once they get it. If the people that are explaining stuff to everybody else, they write a lot to show how much they know. And the people that are barely hanging on, either write too much and show that they don't know what they just start writing too much and copying things that are wrong or bullshitting, or they have such a tenuous script that what they write is so minimal they can't justify the steps and show. You get what I'm saying. So anyway, that's the deal with the test. So all this is to say, if you're just like doing what you're supposed to do and stuff, you'll do great and it will be great. And it's not meant to be stressful. It's meant to be hard, only to the extent that physics itself is hard. Now, the problem right here today, sorry about the cartoon distraction, but basically the problem is what's written in, what I'm saying is given what's in blue, find V, the thing in red. Like, oh, sorry, wait. Oh, now that's a good, wow. Wait, sorry. Oh, and thank you, Ekaterina, for saying thank you. By the way, I should throw in another Google thing for that too. People should get points for just like making it clear to me that their question was answered. That is helpful to know. All right. But now Tiffany, that's such a fair question. That also showed, like, obviously nobody would ask what Tiffany's asking in the chat right now. Of course, no one would ever ask that unless they had just heard what I said, right? Like that is a question that totally shows she's getting what I'm saying. Which is that I'm saying it's a totally open book thing. But right, you can't it's true. You could email me questions in the middle of while you're taking, but I won't answer them. And same with Walter's. That's a fair, right. Now, even there though, I just wanted you to I don't mean that to be inconsistent. I mean, that's almost a funny question, but it's a totally fair question, right? And you can even push it further. Like if you happen to know another physics professor, right? Like you had like Lou last semester, or Wu or something. Are we saying you can or cannot email them? What we're really saying is in the middle of this exam, you can email anybody you want. You can do anything you want. You could actually email me in the middle of the exam. Now, I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to answer, like for 1,000 reasons. Like by that point in the middle of the exam, I probably, look, if you know me well, if you know, I won't even catch the email in time to help you, honestly. But like, and Walter's too, he's not going to help you. But maybe if you catch him off guard, he might give a hint or something. But no, but what we won't do is take off point. We won't say like if you do email us in the middle exam, we're not going to punish you for cheating or something. That's what we're really trying to say is whatever you do, we don't consider it cheating. Whether it's an effective thing to do or not is really the question, right? So like, honestly, you could email another physics instructor even, and we won't even yell at you. Probably all the physics instructors are on guard. They know when the exams are, and they know what's going on when this happens. And but they'll choose to handle it how they do. What we're really saying here is like, honestly, even if someone did, see, the reason I won't answer an email in the middle of the exam really is because I don't have any problem saying yes. But if I say yes, and you all know that I would, then of course you all will email me during the exam, and you will all, because why wouldn't you? And then I'm ending up taking the exam for all of you. Like that's just not worth it to me. Wait, sorry. But no, right, no. So what I'm saying to Ariel, so the one thing about this whole deal, the good news And by the way, if this is helping to clarify, especially if this is helping calm people, now I'll talk about this all day if you guys want, but now I feel like maybe I'm being slightly unclear. Like on Ariel's, and tell me if I'm saying it wrong, but on Ariel's also very good. Right. Well, right. So I'm saying to Ariel's question, no, we won't be on Zoom. You will not be live while you're taking this exam in any way. You will not be on. It's totally take home. That's right. Right. I mean, that is right. And just to be clear, I still think I'm glad, Ariel, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad we're clarifying. But right, what this is take home. You will not be on Zoom. We will not be trying to enforce cheating rules. We will not be trying to watch anybody to see if they're cheating or not, because the way we define things, there's no such thing as cheating, because everything is cheating, because all cheating is allowed. We're saying do whatever you want, but it's not. But hear this clearly. It is as surprising as you think in a way, but don't underestimate it. We're saying do whatever you want to get the understanding you need to take this exam. But then what you then show on the paper is the understanding that you've accumulated. It's a contest of who has actually gotten, you get to the finish line if you actually understand the physics by the time you're writing it down to submit it. Like, so you can do anything you want to gain that understanding. But what we're saying is reporting facts and reporting understanding is two different things. And I think we all know in our hearts the difference. You know when you're writing stuff down that you get versus just like sort of writing stuff down because it looks like what the right thing is, like copying raw symbols. Now this, and physics exams are just hard enough and just long enough, and again, we're not giving that right now, but that you'll see that you'll have 2 days to turn this thing around. That seems like an infinity in a way, but in a way, if it's the first time you're ever thinking about this stuff, even if you literally try to just fully cheat, just try to get all the exam from Chegg, which obviously people have done in the past. Like if you took this, if we posted this exam and you had never thought about the physics before, like, never came to class, never blah, blah, and then just literally took each question and tried to submit it to Chegg and get a full answer like that, right? First of all, that's going to take you longer than you might think. Like the exam is like, you might even run out of time, even just trying to do that. But second of all, I can tell you from experience that if you did that, we would not say you cheated. Just, we would know that you went to Chegg at first. But what we would do is you would find that we'd be taking off points left and right because the content would be so bad. It would be just so clearly bad, not because Chegg himself is a bad, even though he is, but the content would be so out of context and so jumbled together and so not reflective of any coherent understanding of physics. It would be clear, and then lots of points would be deducted. And this has literally happened hugely last semester, actually, specifically to Walters, where he had a whole bunch of exams that of student, and he was grading them, and he wasn't thinking anything about Chegg or anything or cheating. He's just grading the exams. And then got to the end, and a lot of the scores were like surprisingly low. And he was like, "Why do these people lose all these points? Why do these people what?" And he looked back, and he's like, "Yeah, because all these points are being lost because the physics doesn't make any sense." Like, and he was sort of surprised how much there was a trend of it not making sense in a certain same kind of way. And then he cross-correlated and saw that all the stuff that had gotten so damaged was all Chegg stuff. Not because Chegg is a retard, but he is. Not because Chegg answers are wrong, although they often are, but because because it's not that way. It's like trying to piece together a history paper from like random different newspapers of different languages from different countries or something. Like Chegg is not there. So the content was really bad and the people did really bad. All the people that just put it together from Chegg, they weren't punished for cheating. They weren't accused of cheating. Their content was bad. And that's, so I'm long way of saying like, yeah. It's a free for all to take this exam. But then at the end, what you write down is your understanding, like you write down in this happens, this step, then this step, and this step, and box my answer. Therefore, V equals 22 meters per second. And each little problem you solve is like a little demonstration of your understanding of physics thinking. And then it's graded like that. So that's how the exam works. It will be typed and legible. I'm sorry that sometimes these boards are illegible and stuff. The exam is obviously typed. Wait, so what else? All these questions that went in the public chat, even one of these questions where you might think it had already been answered, they're all worthy. Like I'm glad we're talking about this, but it'll all be more clear when you get the practice exam next week. And another way to think about it is it's look, I'm not saying everybody's gonna get an A. That would be a dumb thing for me. And first of all, it's not true. And then second of all, then of course no one would ever do any work or whatever. But what is true about physics is it's kind of like, in a way, often, especially in this class, it's kind of like A or F's. It's not literally, but it's like you're either going to rock this or you're going to really go out of your way to make a mess of it and really like be immoral or something and then tank or fail or get an incomplete or something. But if everybody just like stays moderate and focused and takes the practice exam really seriously, knows the practice exam inside out, then there shouldn't be an issue. Okay, back to this problem then. This problem, maybe I'll try to write it neater again on the next page, but it's maybe not a one-stepper, but it's a couple-stepper of a problem. And I've been talking this whole time, so I've been promising I'll try to give you an equation sheet in a minute. I'll try to update the Google thing, but I guess I could give you a hint for this. Do I want to give you a hint? Well, if I still I'd like you to turn back to this problem on the screen. Here, I'll try to write it neater. It's given y equals 5 cosine of quantity 3 pi t plus pi over 2x. I think you're pretty used to that type of equation at this point. I think for a couple of weeks we've been talking about equations. It's a long equation, but I think you're used to it. So I'm saying, given that, what I'm saying is that's a wave pulse, by the way. And I think we talked about that last week. I know we did. And I know you've been seeing it in the lab. Like, that is one way to express a wave pulse. And a wave pulse, and specifically, I'll even say that that equation has a y. Well, here, hold on one second. Well, I'm saying that y, that thing written in blue, y equals blah, blah, is a specific version of a general equation you have in your notes or in your motions or whatever. That is a function of two variables. What I'm saying here is that is y is the dependent variable, y is the output, there are two inputs, x and t. That equation describes a wave pulse moving along the x-axis. Like, just to remind you, this comes from the idea, and I'll happily talk about all this again, but if that equation describes a bunch of vertical oscillators all arranged in a horizontal row, and they're all identical oscillators, they're all vertical, they're all made of the same materials, they're all going to thereby oscillate at the same frequency and period and anything else, but we staggered their phases is the idea, that each one starts a little bit later in the cycle than the one before it, and always by the same amount. So it's like these staggered oscillators. So that equation is describing a horizontal collection of vertical oscillators. What's going to happen is a pulse is going to travel horizontally, is what we tried to say last week. I don't want to say too much, but that describes a horizontal pulse. And what I'm asking in red is, what is the speed? What is the velocity of that horizontal pulse? Like, at what rate will the wave pulse, the ripple, the perturbation, the disturbance, at what rate will it travel horizontally? How many horizontal meters will it cover every second? I think it's figure outable from that equation. And that's, I'll try to give more hints in a second, but that's what I'm saying for the moment. Here, wait, I'll write it more neatly on another page in a second. Okay, so hopefully this is a little clearer. This is the question. The question is, what's V? Again, I'm saying this to everybody, and I'm not trying to distract you, but you're given this Y equation. And again, list of general equations forthcoming again, but I don't think you need a ton of other equations to deal with it. Like this, we kind of like try to understand as best we can one equation at a time. So, given this example, you want to find V. What I'm really saying is, okay, in general, so if you look at hint number one, in general, that Y equals a cosine omega. I say in general because I'm saying that blue equation here, number one, what I'm looking at right here, that's describes a wave pulse, any kind of wave pulse, like a fast wave pulse, a slow wave pulse in general can be described that way. But omega and k are constants in that function, and a is a constant in that function. Like the different values of those distinguish one wave pulse from another. Just like all springs can be described in terms of a K, but the value of K distinguishes one spring from another. If you have a very high K, you have a very strong spring. So similarly here, in general, that A cosine equation describes a wave pulse in general. I've given you guys a specific wave pulse. I'm saying, what about this wave pulse that's described not, but where this wave pulse where A equals 5 and omega equals 3, blah, blah, then in this particular case, I want you to tell me based on these numbers, how fast is this wave pulse going? That's sort of the nature of the question. I'll shut up again, but that's what we're all doing right now. This is a do now. Please forgive if something is not. What is happening? What is happening? Oh,
Sure. Yes, sir.
yes, yes. So, something's.
I sent you an email right now because I couldn't put a picture on the chat of what I think.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Wait, sorry. Say that again. I'm sorry. Say that.
I sent you an email.
Oh, you did. Okay, I'm sorry. I got distracted. I'm trying to upload these equations, so I'm having a little technical difficulty on my part. So, but you sent me an image. You said, okay, hang on. You did. You did. Oh, you sent me an image, but through email, not through the chat. You're saying?
Yeah, because I couldn't upload the
Oh,
image here.
okay. All right. Great. Thank you. Give me a second. I will look at that in one. Something is not working on mine, but I will look at that in 1 second. That's great. And yeah. I'm still looking at emails. Something is not okay. What is going on here? Wait, and I'm sorry. Bear with me, everybody, and especially, and I'm sorry. Is it sorry. Oh yeah, was it Andreas who was asking me about the diagram emailing me? Was that Andreas?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. And total points. Just bear with me a couple more minutes because something is there's something wrong on my end. So just just keep bearing with me. But I'll say to everybody, I guess if you, well, yeah, just bear with me for one more second. Sorry. Okay. 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 Ah. Yes. Yes. Love it. Okay. This is great. Sorry for all delay. Now I'm seeing some things that really do make sense. Yes. Okay. And honestly, I'm saying this to Andreas, but everybody else, and I will. Okay. That's great. That's great. That's great. Right. 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 Yes. So okay, this, for some of you, this is taking way too long. I should move on. All right, well, so I have permission to, not to go, I'm going to share this if that's okay. And you, well, wait, can I just ask everybody? I'm going to come back to talking now again. Did everybody see in the Google Stream like 3 more assignment portals of like, some of them are 75 points, for sharing an image or for talking and stuff? Can someone maybe just, anybody, 4 or 50 points, could someone just confirm that they saw that? Yeah, okay. Great. Okay. And so like, oh, sorry. Oh, and you got, oh, and great. I even forgot to ask. Okay. Thank you for saying thank you about the equation sheet. No, I'm so glad. That's what was taking me so long. Like I was having an upload problem there and it was jamming other things, but so I'm glad you got it. And thank you for saying thank you. And yes, hopefully that will, and that's straight from an exam last semester. Hopefully that will clarify some things. But then, yes, also let me do this if I can hold it. Oh, where'd the other one go? Wait, and I'll be right with it. But now we're making some progress here. Yes. Wait, but on 100. Oh, different. 4. Did I give 2 different? Okay. One sec. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. 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 Yes, hopefully. So just as an example, and again, not to be weird, well, anyway, so Andreas shared this. It's right. It's correct. It's not the only thing that's correct. There's a, oh, sorry. There are other things in the chat that were interesting and that hopefully I responded to. This is not, and this may look longer. He showed all the work here. I mean, so we're just, this is an example, and nothing is perfect in the world. Hold on, I'm still trying to catch up. And sorry, this takes so. And this is like everything else. For those of you who get like, so I think Andreas gets it, which is awesome. And you know, once you get something like this, then it may seem like a whole lot of ado about nothing. Like once you get any of these things, then they seem kind of easy, maybe, and maybe even feels like I'm taking too long on them, and that may be true. But like, of course, on the other hand, until you get them, then it seems like all hope is lost all the time. So the main thing, and I'm trying to get this so I can. Sorry, I am still catching up. Because there was a lot of good stuff in that private chat, but it was really good and worth me responding to. It's just not an efficient, and then I got stuck with the other thing. But what I'd like to do right now with this share, yeah, can I do this? Can I do this? Yes. Yes. Okay. He shared. The key thing is, first of all, right here.
Professor, that part is wrong. Yeah, that one.
What?
That
Wait,
part.
sorry, what?
So I took the other one. It's
No, I think this is the right one. Wait, you're saying
yeah. I tried to do the to substitute the omega and solve for omega. You see one, the pi over 2 equals 2 pi over L or lambda.
yes.
Yeah, and I got v equals 6.
Yeah, I think you're right. Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. I think I see what you're saying. Wait a minute. Wait, hold on. In other words, sorry. Yeah. So, we're like from, not this, sorry, not to, but you're saying, but all of this.
Yes.
Okay, right. And actually, and again, and it's like, see, I really appreciate that he, wait, oh, sorry. But you agree with what, that I agree with all of that, right? We're both agreeing with all of that.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And I really appreciate it. And look, and it takes a lot to put this up here. It's like a very, but to everybody, like the first, like anything else, once you, all right, this is the first key of what he's doing to everybody. He is, so, I mean, the equation that I gave you is the equation of a wave pulse, but I filled in the specific values of the constants. I filled it like oh, thank you. He's got right up here. Yeah, this is great. I gotta learn how to do this better, but he's got this, right? This right here is the specific wave pulse that we're looking at. What he's saying is, first of all, he's saying, oh, that's a specific version, that the thing that's underlined in red is a specific version of this, of the second thing that's underlined in red. What, so he's literally saying, oh, okay, omega equals 3 pi, and oh, okay, k equals pi over 2. Like, that's what he's saying. That's what he's picking out, understanding that, I don't know how to say it any better than that, but he's picking out that the angular frequency is always the term right before the t in that equation, and the angular wave number is always the term right before the x in that equation. So he's saying, aha, all right, then 3 pi is the omega for this wave pulse, and pi over 2 is the k for this wave pulse. And then he's saying v equals omega over k, like this business right here. Now this is the key, and this is where now, I mean, I feel like it's very easy for me to start being boring here, but this is kind of like what separates knowing how to do physics from just trying to parrot it. Like, the key to this is v equals omega k, and that's why that's the one hint I didn't give anybody. Like, I could have just said that, of course. I could just say v equals omega k, but it's too easy for anybody to think, oh, I get it now. Oh, right. If I had just known that equation, if I just found it on the sheet, v equals omega k, I'm not even sure if it's on the sheet or not, but anybody could say, oh, if I just found that equation in my notes, v equals omega k, then I would be set just like Andreas. But the thing is, first of all, you would only think to do that if you recognize that the numbers being given to you are omega and k. Like, it is a big leap that he realized to apply v equals omega k. Especially because, let's be honest, like, for most of us, omega is still not something we really necessarily feel totally comfortable with, or maybe not. And if we don't feel totally comfortable with omega, there's no way we feel comfortable with k. They are weird ideas, omega and k. Like, some variables and constants in physics and science are just easier to understand than others. I don't think omega and k are easy to understand. I think v is, relatively. So let's back up for a sec. So what I'm going to try to do now is, in English, break down what Andreas did here. Again, I don't want to talk. I know I'm talking too much, and we want to move on, but the whole secret of all this is translating the back and forth between math and English, basically. So actually, wait. Yeah, I'm going to say one more thing. Looking at this, I'm going to say the main steps of what he did that were right. I mean, they're all right, but the thing to take away from Andreas's generous and 75-point worthy or triple dip worthy share here. And by the way, for all this, I do hate the word share. Don't get me wrong. I think it's totally cheesy. I can't stand I'm using it all the time, but like, I like the concept. So his key steps were, first of all, writing down the equation in the general terms, like here, and realizing, oh, okay, that omega is 3 pi. Oh, that k is pi over 2, or whatever. That pi over 2 from Yaverbaum is k. So he did that. Then he writes down v equals omega k. That's key. And so actually he could be done right there. Like, and really he actually is. Like, he essentially, anybody who's looking at this and trying to make sense, of course you might be intimidated by everything he wrote down. Everything he wrote down would increase his grade on an exam. Like, it's showing me all the thoughts, even if some of them might be in a funny order. Anyway, he's showing me all of his thoughts, You looking at his thoughts might not want to see all his thoughts. Some of them are not, immediately necessary, maybe, to you, a reader, whoever else you are. But what he did was he put the omega, which is 3 pi, over the k, which is pi over 2. So really the whole problem just reduces. It's mathematically as simple as 3 pi over pi over 2, and he got 6. And that's the answer. Everything else there justifies it and shows he clearly, no one would, that's obviously his actual work. And it's all, by the way, correct. I'm going to do it my way in a second. But I guess I want to say two things. On the one end, this is just V equals omega k. Oh, there's omega, there's okay, divide. So once you get that, you might think, my God, we've spoken for an hour and 15 minutes about like one division problem. But on the other hand, I hope everybody does recognize, like, it just looks like a division problem once you've conquered it. But you can spend an hour and a half just looking at these things, staring in the face and not knowing what to do at all until you hear that. And all the stuff that he wrote down amidst that is what's making sense out of the V equals omega k. So I'm actually going to pause to do something with that to everybody. So I'm going to shift the screens here. I'm sorry to be talking about, but I think it's great what Andreas did, honestly. And honestly, even if it were literally wrong, I think it's super helpful and super real, but it is actually right. The answer, to be concrete, the answer, oh yeah, to really be concrete, sorry. The answer to this question is V equals 6 meters per second. And that really means that we have a wave traveling at 6 meters per second horizontally due to a bunch of little things all oscillating vertically. We have a pulse going horizontally, traveling 6 meters every second. Like that's what he's actually, that's what we're saying. That is the answer. But I'm going to go one, I'm just going to. Oops, sorry. Thank you very much, Andreas. Seriously. Okay, here we go. Okay, so what I'm saying is, and look how much time we're spending analyzing one equation. It might be very frustrating to many of you to spend all this time on one equation, especially if you think there's an exam coming and you're like, Dio, how can we possibly know anything if we're going to spend? But there aren't that many equations on the exam, you might notice, and we give them to you. It's not about memorizing a million different equations. It's about actually using the keywords. So anyway, so here's this one we're still looking at. I'm just quickly doing my version of what Andreas did, just to, so we can all, and then we're going to move on. But he said, what he's saying was, now I'm gonna do the final step right now, just what he did when he plugged it in. But when you look at the plugin that I'm about to do, just what he did to get 6, but I'm gonna track the units sort of carefully. And so please copy, even if you now think you get the answer, whoever, all of you, even if you now get the answer 6 and you're ready to move on, which I could respect, still I want you to copy the way I'm gonna do this now with the units carefully, because perhaps if you look at the units, you might see why this really, really does make sense and really is describing physically a wave, hopefully. Okay.
Are you going to be posting the
Oh,
notes?
sorry,
Sorry, I scared you.
sorry. Oh my God. So So wow. Well, hopefully you saw my video. You see that was me focusing on physics. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, what were you asking?
I was going to ask if you're going to post these notes on the classroom.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yes, it's the moment the class is over, these notes go in classroom. And yes, very fair question. And that's 50 points right there. And by the way, the question Samantha just asked, and you might not believe this but literally, especially if you got these things in the stream, the question Samantha just asked, she can submit that question, even though she was obviously asking because she wanted to know, not because like she wanted to scare me out of my reverie or get points, but the question Samantha just asked, she can just remind me of that in one assignment portal and get 50 points for just reminding me that like she said anything. Then she could take that same question. I'm dead serious. She could put it in the assignment portal that's called like multiple choice or whatever, or some questions are better than others. It's the one that I just put out today. It's like number 7 or something. She could put the same question in there for 75 points because she just asked me a question that was a yes or no question. Like, believe it or not, it makes a huge difference. She just asked me a yes or no question, which meant if I weren't me, I could have actually answered it in less than 45 minutes. And that way, like, because she could double dip it because it was a yes or no question, which means in theory, it's a very concrete question and could keep us focused. Also, she can take that same question and triple dip it. I'm not even kidding. I know this is crazy town. It's crazy town, but she can triple dip that same question. And of course, all this goes for Andreas as well. She can, but for different portals. She could triple dip it in the portal that says something about your voice is worth 1,000, or your voice. Speak now or forever hold your chat, whatever that one is. In other words, because she had the guts to actually go vocal. Now, granted, like, and why should she get 75 points for that? Like, why should she be? And that's points. And I'm serious, of course. Again, and these points are real, and hopefully you're going to. They really will affect your average and make it easier for you to even do softer on the exam, whatever. They are real. But why am I going to give her 75 points for like using her voice rather than the chat? Well, partly because it did scare the bejeebers out of me, as anybody paying attention saw. Like, I jumped a mile high, and my reaction could, if she were a frailer person, could have upset her. Like, she actually took a risk. Like, yeah, it does. Apparently, if you poke the beast does jump out of its cage. Who wants to? I could see now why people wouldn't want to say something to me if I'm that jumpy. So she gets 75 points for taking that risk. And in fact, of course, it's just silliness that I did jump. It's just because I was focusing on the solution. But yeah, so yes. Oh, and so what's the answer to her question? Yes, I'm going to post these notes in the Google Stream. But yes, further, in my understanding of this class, what I think is that after every class, every week, I do that right away. It's actually one of the easier things for me to do. So especially as we're getting close to the exam, if you guys look back, you should have a PDF of all the notes from every single week. If there's any missing, please let me know, because then I'll put them in the stream. I might have accidentally put them in the wrong class or something. But yeah, you'll definitely get these notes at the end of today. You will. Also, again, remember, all this is on, not to be weird, but everything we do is on YouTube. And I'll put the link again. In fact, I will put the link right now. Hold on, just to be sure. And I don't expect anybody to freaking watch these classes on YouTube for like entertainment. That's absurd. Of course they suck. As things to watch. But if you just put them on and scroll just to see what the material is or where I solve problems, I think it can help before the exam. And by the way, for anybody, I found out recently, you can turn on the subtitle caption feature, and so then you don't and turn the whole thing, so just have it just to scroll and see what's going on. You could do that, and I'll put the link. But yes, I'll put these notes in the stream. Oh my god, is it, wait, what time is it? Oh no, sadly we still have time. Okay, so I will shut up. Oh no, we'll move to the next problem in a second. Hold on, I was just going to put bear with me for 1 second, and then, but the answer to this is 6. Yeah, that's what I was saying. And this solution that I was just writing down, well, I'm going to just take it from, I'm going to hope from Samantha's question, maybe that means that this one page is useful or something. And that's why she asked. Because yeah, yes, what we're saying here, oh, great. Thank you. That's awesome. All right, I'm going to shut up for a second. Let me put this, oh, wait. Well, yeah. Okay, hold on. Yeah, let me put, oh yeah, let me, bear with me for 1 second, everybody, before I forget. Okay. Okay. Oh, cool. Thank you. Okay. Great. Thanks. I'm going to, I actually think there's even more to say about this problem, but I think I'm boring myself to tears. So I'm going to put the next problem. I'm going to, there's still things happening in the chat and I still want to say more, but I think people are starting to get something. So I'm going to put the next problem up on the screen and have you work on it again. I mean, we still have, it's a long class. But also just to say something about something that was in the chat, like every problem we do, like we've always sort of been doing in this lecture, is trying to solve problems together. And maybe some of them are too short or too long or not perfect, but all we're trying to do is solve problems. And every one of these problems that I give you, I promise you, is meant directly as a practice problem for the actual exam, or every problem that I'm giving you here is like taken from an old exam or whatnot. And I do want to make it clear, like, as people get closer to the exam and want to study, the best way to study is to do practice problems without a doubt. And people are going to want sets of practice problems to study. But what I want to tell you all is that's exactly what the practice exam literally is, nothing but. And it's more of an extreme version of that than sometimes in other classes. Because what I mean is this, and then I will shut up, maybe. Like I'm used to, I took a lot of math and science classes where what would happen is, math and science analytic classes where there was problem solving. So like say a chemistry class or so. I took a lot of classes where as the exam was coming, you knew there was going to be like 3 or 4 hard, long problems on the exam. And so we had bunches of practice problems, maybe from our homework or whatever. And we knew we had to do like 15, 20 different problems, like exercise this, exercise that, to really get used to it and practice, and practice. So we would do a whole bunch of different problems so that by the time the problems came on the exam, even if they weren't exactly like anything we had done, if we had done enough, then we hopefully wouldn't be too surprised or thrown. We would know our stuff. I mean, in the ideal, and I'm not saying I rocked every class, believe me, and I'm not saying I rocked every exam, but obviously in the ideal, in a lot of classes like this, you do a slew of different practice problems, like 15, so that you can be like really prepared for the 3 that come on the test, right? And I know that, and that makes people feel very prepared when they do that, right? This isn't quite that kind of scene, just to be clear. We're more about actually we think there are certain problems in physics that if you really know how to do those problems, they're really representative of they really show how to do problems in general, and they really affect the history of physics. Like there are nugget problems in physics that are like the central representative key important problems that we tend to study here. And what we really want you to know is how to solve those problems. So actually what we're kind of saying is when you get this practice exam, what you're going to see is it is the practice problems that you should do for the actual exam. And it's not a trick. Like the actual exam will look remarkably like the practice exam. So it's not like no one's trying to fool anybody. We're not, I mean, the practice exam will be longer. So it is true. You'll do everything in the practice exam, and then the actual exam has to be taken from that and can't be some weirdo thing from left field that you didn't see on the practice. Anything that you see on the real thing, you will have seen on the practice real. So instead of it being a list of like 15 different types of practice problems that you can practice with, no, it's like 5 problems that you practice those over and over. So you really know those, so that then when we give you 3 or 4 of them slightly tweaked on the actual thing, no, you'll know those really well. You're not looking to do problems that sort of represent like a whole category of it. I don't want to oversay it, but a lot of people are more comfortable if they can do a whole kind of variety of things before the actual exam. That's not actually how we do it here. We're about deeply knowing the thing that we want you to know on the exam. And so much so that we're saying, even when you take the exam, you can use all these resources. But the thing that we're testing you on, like, so that's why we keep analyzing like one equation over and over and doing all these examples with one equation, because that's the equation we're going to ask you about on the exam. It's not sort of like a bunch of others that we might pick from. It is the one. Like, and I'm not saying that critically to everybody. It takes some getting used to. It's why physics is weird. Physics is like easier than you think, and it's harder than you think in that way. We're really trying to know specific equations, specific problems, and you'll know best. I will shut up again, because the best way to know what to expect for the actual exam is you'll see when you get the practice exam. That's what the actual exam will be. Like, same equation sheet, same formatting, same everything, same point values, just enough change to protect the innocent, just enough numbers or whatever tweaked so that you actually have to think when you do it and not just copy. But that's, if that helps. I'm just trying to address something that some things that were coming up in the chat. But I'm going to move to the next problem. Everybody can take, if anybody walked away right now for 5 minutes and got a drink or went to the bathroom, I wouldn't be insulted. Let me just put that way. I'll take a moment to write this problem for you so everybody can breathe for a second. I don't know who this is harder on, but the answer is you. It's harder on you. Hold on. I've lost my style. You know what happens when you play a country western song? This is a joke, by the way. I'm about to tell a joke that has nothing to do with anything. I'm just stalling. And it's probably not funny, and it's probably offensive. But I apologize in advance. Or you won't get it. I don't know. You know what happens when you play? And I will only say the punchline if someone goes, whoa, if someone says, what happens if someone actually vocally participates in this joke? So you know what happens if you play a country western song backwards?
No, what happens?
Thank you. You're a gutsy person. Thank you for walking. That's 50 points. What happens when you play a country song, a country western song backwards is you get your car back, you get your wife back, you get your van back, you get your job back. Get it? Because you see in every country western song, you always lose you lose your. Okay. Anyway, that was a joke. All right. I'm going to tell one. No, I'm not. All right. That's jokes for today. Here, everybody take 5. We're going to do the next problem. Okay. I'm going to say we're still looking at the same wave pulse now, as boring as that might be. We're still looking at the wave pulse. I asked you for the speed before. What I want to know now, and I'm going to admit right here, it was totally already on Andreas's sheet. Like Andreas did already answer question 1, and he was all over his sheet, but I didn't talk about it at all. So I still want to. So whether you saw it on a sheet or whatever, you may have already thought this through, but we haven't done it publicly. So I want the wavelength and the frequency of the same wave. In other words, so far, what we know is its speed. We know its angular frequency. We know its angular wave number. Can we just make sure we're still on track here and get its regular old wavelength and frequency? But then also, not question 2, maybe more complicated. I don't think it's harder to solve, but it's harder to understand. Question 2 here on the sheet is, let's assume now there's a new F star, F like F prime, same thing. And it is equal to 2 times the old frequency. In other words, this is a wave we're talking about here. We want to be picturing a wave. So it's like, sorry. Right. This whole thing that we're talking about here is a wave pulse. And of course that's a hideous picture, but it's an accurate picture in the sense that, oh, sorry, someone's here. Sorry. It's an accurate picture in that what we're supposed to be picturing is some horizontal, like some x-axis medium, like a string stretched along the x-axis. And then a little bit of it goes up and down harmonically. And the next little bit of it goes up and down, but not at the same time, right? So it goes like up, down, up, down, up, down. And so we get a pulse going across. So we have vertical oscillations leading to a horizontal pulse, like across, say, a string being stretched from one lab partner to another. Like that's a situation we're picturing here. And of course, you know, by lambda, we mean, say, the length between 2 troughs or 2 crests or whatever. But here's my point. If you're picturing pulses going back and forth across a string like that, as you should, you can picture that they're being made because one of the 2 lab partners is like shaking the string up and down. So let's assume, and the frequency with which he shakes the string is the frequency at which crests and troughs are being made. Like that's our mental picture of what the 3 pi ultimately means. But anyway, one lab partner is going up and down like that, shaking the string like that. Let's assume now that lab partner starts shaking at twice the frequency. That's what I'm saying in number 2 here in red. Assume now that the lab partner starts oscillating his end or her end of the string twice as often every minute. Then what I want to know is what happens to the wavelength. Like I want to know what happens. Does it get bigger? Does it get smaller? Does it stay the same? But find whatever the new wavelength is. Maybe it's the same as the old wavelength. But first, so in stage 1, you find the wavelength and the frequency. You can call them the old wavelength and the old frequency. Now imagine a frequency gets doubled. And I want you to imagine it physically. Like we didn't change the string. We're not swapping out the string suddenly in the middle. We're not changing the height of the vibrations or anything like that, which by the way is 5. But imagine that person starts shaking twice as fast while everything else holds constant. Then what happens, if anything, to the wavelength? What does become its value in meters? That's what I'm asking here. And I'm shutting up. I really am. Well, Andre. Well.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I sent you an email. I'm not sure about the lambda star though.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I'll look. Now, of course, I sent you a chat. I don't know if because the first part, of course, you've already answered. So yes, I'll look at your email. But I think I sent you a chat. I hope I sent you. Yeah, look if you can. Oh, wait, you do not have the chat function at all. That's why you couldn't put the images in the chat.
I do have the chat, but I don't know how to take. I mean, I'm taking a picture from my phone and I'm sending you an email.
Oh no, yeah, that's fine. No, that's totally fine. But okay, so see if you see what I said in the. See if you see a comment from me. But I'll go look. Yeah, I'll look at your. But well, yeah, I'll go look at the email. Yeah, I'll look. But see if you see yeah. Okay, right. Yes. Ah. Okay. Now,
Professor, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you said it already, but for the test, I know it opens on Wednesday, but when will it close?
No, that's a good question. We haven't said that yet. That's a good point. Walters and I will work on that tonight, but it would be something like it will probably be due Friday. My best guess is it would be something like the Friday at midnight, Friday 2 days later. So like if the test is being posted Wednesday, the 11th, we said, oh God, the Friday the 13th. But then generally it would be due like at midnight of Friday the 13th. Something like that, so that it doesn't ruin your whole weekend. But yeah, something like that is usually what it is, like a day and a half or 2 days.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Was that Carolina? By the way, sorry, was that Carolina?
Yeah, Carolina.
Sorry, Carolina. Okay, cool. And thank you. And that's please. And did you saw like the 75-point Google thing in your? Do you know what I'm like? You can submit that.
Yeah,
question.
like number 9 or something.
Right. Good. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Yes. Yes. And those the rest of you, like in these moments of silence when people are actually thinking, and I feel like people are thinking, what I've been trying to do is get back the 50 points. Like some of you, hopefully anybody who submitted anything for assignment 1 has now seen. All I do is write a quick note, just like all you guys do is write a quick note, but hopefully you're at least seeing the evidence that you got those points back for assignment 1, and I'm just going to keep plowing through them. And again, any of you can submit them at any time. Like, don't worry about the due dates as such. Just when you say something, you could submit it somewhere. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. What was I going to say? But this problem that's on the screen now, let me say, I really think, wait, I just lost my train of thought. But something could be happening with this problem. Like, I know it's maybe kind of excruciatingly boring, or again, if you get it, it might seem very simple and small, but if you don't get it, you don't want me to just tell you the answer because we can't really go anywhere with that. And I'm telling you guys, number one, if you look at what we just, it's the same 5 and the same 3 pi and the same pi over 2 as the last thing. So if you look at what Andre, I think if no one says anything at all forever besides Andreas about this problem, it's a little bit concerning maybe at some point. I think there's things you can do with it, with at least number 1. With in fact, did I? Yeah, like, hold on. Yeah, all right, I'll even give, these hints that I wrote in blue, they apply perfectly well to what you're trying to solve now, because it's still the same equation. By the way, if it helps, I was going to ask this, but I'll just say that 5, notice we haven't used the 5 at all yet. Nothing we're saying has to do with the 5, even though 5 is relevant, because the 5, sorry. Oh, good. Yeah. The 5 is the amplitude of this wave. It's like the initial and maximum height at any given moment of this wave. So it's as high as this wave ever goes. The wave fluctuates between a height of 5 positive on the y-axis and all the way down to its troughs at -5 on the y-axis. The way, like the ripple, the oscillations are going up and down between 5 and -5, but then it's going across at a rate that you can piece together from what's inside the cosine. I guess I'll say one more, like the 3, remember, what does the 3 pi mean? The 3 pi is radians per second. It's angular frequency, like what Andreas was using. The 3 pi means, it doesn't seem like it means anything, but remember there's 2 pi radians to a cycle. So the 3 pi means that this thing is doing a cycle and a half per second. Like what, like going up, like going all the way up, all the way down, all the way back, that's a cycle. And then down, a cycle and a half. It's doing that every second, like this wave. We got a height of 5. We've got knowledge that it's going, going like 1.5 times every second. And then the next piece next to the x, the pi over 2, the radians per meter, right? That's saying that there's a quarter of a cycle every meter, right? Because there's 2 pi radians in a cycle. So pi over 2 is a quarter of a cycle. And that means that if you stretch your eyes along a meter of this wave, if you look a meter horizontally, what your eye will grab, what you'll see is a quarter of a cycle. You won't see, like it won't go from crest to crest in 1 meter. It goes a fourth of that way in 1 meter. It doesn't go from crest all the way to crest. It doesn't even go from crest to trough. It goes like from crest to equilibrium position in that meter. That's what those numbers mean. So those numbers are like describing to you all the different features of the shape of this wave. Its height is 5. Its cycling rate is a cycle and a half per second. And its cycling space is like a quarter of a cycle per meter. You could put those together to get its wavelength. So like I almost just gave it away. I mean, it's telling you the cycles per length, but you want the length per cycles. And it's telling you the cycling rate, but you just want the standard rate, the number, I'm sorry, it's telling you the cycling rate in radians per second, but you just want the standard everyday frequency in hertz or cycles per second. So I really, I think you guys can do this. You can do number one, or you can ask me questions. You can say something about number one by using the hint. Oh yeah, I'll write one more hint on this hint page. I think you have. So the truth is, even if you didn't understand anything, you could just like piece equations together and plug and chug to get this answer. Or ideally, you would understand what you. But I think it's doable by everybody. I don't think Andreas is the only one that can be on top of this. Pardon me for 1 second. Guys, well,
Professor,
yes.
radians over meter. Is this the same as meter over the radians or no?
Oh, that is a great question. No, it's not. Okay, wait, maybe I will start talking a minute. You might be saving the day here. Oh, also my light, excuse me. That great question. I'm going to repeat it there. So, but the answer is no, they're not the same. They're actually very different, but that's really helpful. And so Andreas asked, are radians per meter the same thing as meters per radian? And the answer is no. And just like meters per second is not the same thing as seconds per meter. So let's think about that for a minute. I'll try to write this down in a second. But if I say someone's running very fast and they go 5 meters per second, that means like every second, they cover 5 meters. So someone even faster would go like 10 meters per second. Like the more meters you do per second, the faster you're going. But the more meters you're doing per second means the less seconds you're doing per meter. Like if you go 5 meters every second, that means it takes you a fifth of a second to do a meter, right? In other words, meters per second are the exact opposite of seconds per meter. So someone who's doing more and more meters per second will be going faster and faster. But someone who's going more and more seconds per meter is going slower and slower. And like everything in physics, maybe, wait, does that make sense so far? Or Andre, does that make sense? And so in this case, if you're doing meters per radian versus radians per meter, meters per radian means how many meters are stretched out in this wave per every cycle. Like meters per radian means for every cycle of this wave, for every distance from the crest to the next crest, like how many meters is that? If you say it's 5, if we have like as example 5 meters per radian, that means it's one section of the cycle is that far out in space. It's very long. If it's meters per radian, that's a very long wavelength. It's very far from crest to crest. But if we say 5 radians per meter, that means in any one given meter, you're doing that many cycles. Like in other words, the cycles are much tighter together. And so the distance between crests will be much shorter. I think this is good. I'm going to now start to try to write this down for everybody. Or Andreas, does that make any sense or no?
Yeah, yes.
But that's a good, in a way, that's what, and I know it's 5:20. All right, wait. Let me ask this. I should have asked this before to everybody. Well, I'll go back a page. Could you please, everybody, right now, if you hear me at all, could you please electronically raise your hand or put thumbs up if you hear me at all right now? And I just lost it.
Professor.
Thank you. Okay, that's under. And could everybody though, to make sure, like, for all paying attention, could you all just again? I know the hand thing goes down. Oh, great. Thank you. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Yeah, to hear you.
Oh, and by the way, let me ask you this. I never even thought to ask this before, but like, you know how I just said, can I hear you? And so like Samantha said, she put up a thing, thank you. Kilo put up a thing, thank you. I don't know, and I'm not trying to mention people's, but like Megan obviously did, I don't mean obviously, but can I ask you this? When you guys put up those hands, can you all see them? Like if I say who hears me, do you all see who puts up hands and who not, right?
Yeah, we all see.
Okay. All right, cool. And I'm not doing that to embarrass anybody or anything, but the reason I'm asking now is because Andreas's question is very good, but it was very good. And I know we're going to wrap soon, but this last question that I just asked, I was just looking at the practice test. While you guys were thinking, I was looking at the practice. We haven't posted it yet, but I'm promising we'll post it by next Wednesday. And, I was thinking maybe I'll even post it like as soon as possible so they can have it. And I might, I was almost just going to post it right now while we were talking, but I do want to correct some things in it. But the thing is, I'm looking at this practice test, and just to be honest, if you go step by step, piece by piece in the practice test, it's all, I think, not stressful or not overwhelmingly hard. Even each piece maybe looks a little bit, hopefully not hard. but each piece is like this question here, find wavelength and frequency. And there's a lot of pieces. If I just right now, if everybody just spaced out for the last 20 minutes, that's fine. I understand that. But if everybody is actually looking at this question I'm asking and finding it very difficult, you would be intimidated to get the practice exam right now. It would look like a lot. It actually isn't a lot, but it's a lot of like this sort of thing. And let me put it a different way. Anybody who wants a ton of practice problems, I don't even think you would want a ton right now, because it would look scarier than it might actually be. I'm getting at the fact, so I'm going to solve this problem right now that we're doing, but it would be better if someone of you did to show yourselves that it's not that bad. And I kind of mean someone other than Andreas today. In other words, again, we have this. So we're going to wrap up in a second. Like it ends at, well, I guess it technically ends at 5. I always think it ends earlier than it does, but we are wrapping soon. But we have this, right? And let me say one more time too, if you think we're spending a ton of time just like painfully and boringly analyzing like the same type of equation over and over, you're right in a way, you're right. I mean, I wish it weren't painful and boring and I wish it weren't Zoom, but that is true, we are. But really what we're trying, the reason it seems so painful and boring sometimes, these equations, is if they just look like equations. What we're really trying to do is help you translate these equations into English and into pictures in your mind. You want to be able to, these equations are actually pictures. Like this to me, I can see a wave in my mind when I see this equation, and that's what you want to do ultimately. You're not trying to learn a ton of equations. You're trying to learn really how to think in terms of equations. Each equation is a full statement on its own. It's like a sentence with a verb and a noun. So like, for example, this one here, the same one that we keep doing. Well, sorry. I mean, it's correct what I just wrote, but that's just a general thing. What we're looking at here, again, is this. Okay, we're saying, and I'm just going to like do this out right now, and then we're going to end on that. We're saying Okay. Well, before what I'm trying to say, well, wait. Yeah, well, wait, no, I know. Well, here it was. Well, I'll put the answer. I guess I'm getting, I will, raise your hand electronically, please. Oh, and the hand. All right, I'm going to try one last thing. Please, again, and I appreciate it. Please electronically signify if you understand what the question is that's being asked right now. Like honestly. Oh, thank you. That was fast. Okay. Raise your hand if you understand what the. Okay, no. I'm going to say it again. Oh, well, let me put it this way. Raise your hand if you know what the question is that's being asked right now. Oh, that was fast, Ariel. Thank you, and I appreciate that because wait, but she's the only one. And Carolina, thank you. So and Kilo. Okay, now it's getting personal. All right, now it's getting because like I want to say. I mean, again, it's all you know. We all have the different whatever's going on, but like at this point in the period, I would hope people would know what the question is. Like, I'm not sure I could do much to make it much clearer. Like, the question is this. Okay, and the given is this, and not to be weird or shaming, but the given has been the same given for this entire 2.5 hours. Like we've been just and I know that's probably killing some people, and I kind of feel bad about that in a way. Like I don't think that's ever as bad as it feels. But if you feel like we've just been banging our head against the wall with one equation for 2.5 hours, it's sort of true. But like what I'm asking now is the question is this. And I hope everybody at least knows that that's the question at the point. I mean, and especially since I'm saying I would even give you points if at any point someone said, what is the question or something. But I have been assuming that we know that the question is this. Now, and this, but the first question is find lambda and frequency. And I really think you can get it from what's written on this page. Like, especially, I was saying again, like, well, yeah, if you want to know lambda, I think you can figure out with what I just boxed purple. And I'm kind of hoping that someone does it instead of me before this period's over. Like, we're looking at that thing in blue. We want to know what lambda is. I'm telling you that the thing circled is K, and I'm telling you how to get lambda from K. I'm just going to say that again. So it's like what Andreas did before. And I'm not trying to say this is easy. It's not easy. None of this is easy. We're trying to picture some hard things here. But procedure-wise, if you're still with me and you still want to get the points, or you want to get this right, you want to move on with your life, what I'm actually saying is I'm giving you an equation that begins with Y. It has a bunch of numbers in it. I'm telling you one of those numbers is K. And I'm telling you how to get from K to lambda. Like I'm lambda meaning the wavelength. That symbol for wavelength is lambda. Like lambda wavelength means how far it is from crest to crest in a wave, or how far it is from trough to trough, how far it is in one cycle. That's what lambda is how many meters there are for every cycle. K is the All right, we're getting somewhere now. We're getting somewhere now. I like that. Oh, I think, all right. Oh, I just got something private. Okay, wait, let me look at what I'm saying. Well, I really appreciate what I got privately. I think it's so good what I got privately, whether it's right or wrong. I kind of wish it were public, but it's definitely very concrete. So concrete that I'm even now, yes, I totally do absolutely think that, well, wait, hold on. Here's the thing too. All right, so this is another one of those cases. In some ways, I'm going to say this when we are going to go soon. I'm kind of saying that I'm giving you this, and I'm telling you this, and I'm asking for that. And at least one person in the private chat just totally showed that she totally gets what I'm saying, which I completely appreciate. I need. And I'm just going to admit, but without naming anybody by names, she did make one mistake at the end, so she didn't get the right answer. Okay, so maybe that's why she put it in the private. But let me say, now that I saw the one little mistake she made, now I totally see what actually is difficult about this for some. Like, there is something legitimate. On the one hand, I'm saying, if you're with me and if you're still paying attention, I don't think there's any excuse not to know what's going on. Like, and I'm going to break it down further. One more, like, I'm giving you an equation. I'm giving you another equation. I'm sort of asking you to run the two together and get the third answer. But so procedurally, it's not that bad once you see the procedure. But actually, now that someone had the guts in the chat, granted like two people now have had the, and I kind of wish it was public, but now someone's actually spelled out their work for me. And now I can see they totally they're with me. They're totally with me. But I see one computational difficulty in what they're doing that may be what's stressing all of you out. But I can't know unless people are communicating, right? Like, people could either be just spacing out and thereby wasting their own time, or the legitimate difficulty could be that what's happening. I'm going to say this, I'm going to write it down, and then we're going to be done. One thing I'm totally learning from all of what Andreas is doing privately and publicly, and all of what someone else just did privately. Well, a couple people are doing privately. What I'm realizing is, if you're actually trying to get this, it's hard enough to picture and stuff, but if you're actually trying to picture it, one thing is there's a lot of dividing by fractions involved here. And it's totally coming up in Andreas's question and in a private chat question. One thing that might be wigging people out without even realizing it, maybe it's just stopping them, is we're definitely like dividing by dividing a lot here, which gets very confusing fast, and particularly confusing with units. Like, it's very fair to not be sure if medians over radians are the same or not as radians over meter. I'm kind of saying they're very much not the same. Just like 4/1 is not the same as 1/4, right? But actually, I think that is maybe what's legitimately confusing people. So I'm gonna do out this lambda thing right now, and again, then we'll be done. And I will post the practice exam soon, but you might want to, I don't know, anyway, I will post it soon. But we have this. Nope, sorry. And we're saying this. Notice one thing, and this also might, excuse me for once, notice one thing. Okay, well, I'm going to write this down. Hold on. I'm going to get the answer, and then. Oh, we're about to work. All right. I'm going to go to the next page. Well, Sorry, ask me if you want me to go back. Oh, that's right. We still, all right. So we actually go to 5:45, right? Yes. Okay. Sorry, but I don't want to let you go late. We do actually have 7 minutes, so I just want to make sure this is clean, and then we're going to go. But just because time is about to run out, the answer is 4 to lambda. Like, lambda equals 4 meters. You might even say 4 meters per radian, or well, you might say 4 meters per cycle, which is fine, or even 4, but it's not anything per meters, it's meters. Lambda is 4 meters, meaning really, sorry, I think I'm fading out here visually. This is actually weird. Hold on. Lambda is 4 meters. It's 2 pi divided by pi over 2. And that is confusing. You have to be careful. And that may be where people, but 2 pi divided by pi over 2 is the same thing as 2 pi times 2 over pi. I'm going to leave it at that. I think that's, oh yeah, no problem. All right, I'm going to try to get this practice exam aligned to exactly where you are in class and stuff, but I also don't want to beat a dead horse or pull teeth. But I'm good if you guys are good. I'm good to go if I get a goodbye or a thumbs up or what. Oh, and I will post all this, of course. I will post this and I'll post the video, on YouTube at that link that I just put in the stream and I put in the chat and in the stream. So if anybody wants to give me a hi, sorry, yeah, if you're good, I'm good. But are you good?
Thank you, Professor.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Great. Thank you. I totally appreciate it. Thank you all very much. All right. I will post these things right now. You are the best. Quark plus America.
I do have one question.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I almost said
everyone else could leave because it's just like a homework one. It's the watch the video that.
Oh yeah.
And with the comments, so it said submit one comment here regarding something you knew about the video before you watched it.
Oh yeah.
And I wasn't sure where to comment, so I put private comment. But then the word is missing.
Oh no, oh wait, I'm sorry. I just mean, I see what you're asking. Sorry. I just mean, excuse me, wait. Excuse me. I mean, like you could just write on a piece of paper or whatever, and take a picture. I just mean, tell me in that Google assignment portal, like, I don't mean comment like computer comment. I just mean, tell me something that you knew before, and then tell me something you didn't know before. You could write them both on a piece of paper and then just submit it as, take a picture and submit it as a PDF.
Can I send it to you now, even though it's late? I could also take a
Oh,
picture
wait.
of the comments because it shows the time.
Oh,
So
yeah,
if you
yeah.
did
Wait,
it
I
before.
totally understand. You totally can, but don't worry. The time is not, you won't be late. It's okay. I mean, you can do that, but as long as you put it in that, I know it says a due date and everything. It's just but that's so people wouldn't forget and stuff. Don't worry about it. I won't count it as late. If you put it now, I totally understand and it's completely fine.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you. Okay. Everybody else good? Is it? Oh, so everybody else is still there. Anybody else? I almost hit the end, but we're good. We're good. Okay. Oh, bye. All right, cool. Oh, Ariel, question. Sorry. Or that means you're
Yeah,
good.
for the frequency, I got 1.5.
Oh, sorry. Oh, and I didn't even finish. Thank you. And
Sorry, I
so
just want that part.
oh, good point. Thank you. Thank you for being a student. If I didn't mention, yes, I've totally lost track, so I don't even remember. Yeah, the frequency, the frequency would be right. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. The frequency is 1.5 hertz. Absolutely, yes.
And then
Awesome.
for the second question, would you just double the frequency and the
Oh,
the wave?
great. Thank you for actually caring. I totally lost sight of it. Became too far. Yes, with the so that to everybody who's still listening, with the first question, the answer is yeah, the frequency is 1.5 hertz, definitely right. And with the second question, if the frequency is doubled, if we make it
Mhm.
2 times as much as what it was, then the wavelength, this is the key. If the frequency is twice as much, then the wavelength will be 1/2 as much. It'll go down by a factor of 2. Like because speed has to equal wave, and I'll talk more about this next time, but that's, yes, if the frequency is, if you have twice as many waves in the same space, then each wave has to be half as big. So if the frequency goes up, is doubled, then the wavelength will go down from what it was 4 before, it'll go down to 2. So the answer is 2 meters for that one. If that might have been too fast, I don't know, but does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you for asking. That's a million bajillion points right there for even caring to finish the problem. So I'll add that to the screen thing before I post it to everybody. But yes, good, awesome. All right, Quark plus America, everybody. Go in peace.